The Skull Cavern is easily one of the most dangerous areas in Stardew Valley, but it also happens to be one of the most profitable if approached in the right way. With the recent additions in the 1.6 update, such as the new books, trinkets, and statues, it's easier than ever to make it out with pockets full of some of the best items in the game. You can find the Skull Cavern in Calico Desert, and you can unlock access to this area after reaching the bottom of the normal mines and fixing up the bus by either finishing the bundle in the community center or paying off Morris if you're doing the Joja route. It has no elevator system unless you're using mods, and it has some of the most annoying enemies in the game that don't seem to stop coming. But if you can get down far enough, it's a great source of some of the best items in the game, such as iridium ore, prismatic shards, trinkets, and the ever-coveted auto petter. While the enemies can be annoying, special shout out to these little evil danger noodles of death. With enough food on you for healing and the right buffs from rings and books, etc., they're really not that much of an issue. The biggest issue when it comes to the Skull Cavern is time. Your chances of getting good items such as iridium ore, prismatic shards, auto petters, etc. increases the further down you go in the cavern. But there is no elevator system, like we said, which gives you limited time, especially considering that Pam doesn't open the bus stop until 10 AM, so you'll often find yourself here until that 2 AM mark looking for one last staircase or shaft. A fun fact about the Skull Cavern is that even though it may seem like time is your enemy, time actually moves 25% slower inside the cavern than it does outside. Even with this small boost, it's still really not enough to make a difference. Another important factor is luck. Going on a good luck day is imperative to a good Skull Cavern run because higher luck increases your chances of finding staircases, shafts, and treasure rooms. And, of course, another challenge posed by the Skull Cavern is energy and health. Nobody has enough energy to keep breaking rocks open until 2 AM, and we want to save our food for healing when these little harbingers of sadness make an appearance. So, keeping all of that in mind, let's get into what you will need aside from your usual mining tools such as food, a fully upgraded pickaxe, and a weapon, to get the absolute most out of your runs and resources. To start with, in order to bypass Pam's ungodly late start, you can get yourself a desert totem at the Desert Trader any day of the week for 3 Omni Geodes. You can use this thing first thing in the morning after checking your luck and be there in no time. Secondly, and possibly one of the most important things, are staircases. Staircases are your best friend in the Skull Cavern, and if you can stock up on enough of them, you can get down to insane levels, saving time and energy. You can craft staircases for 99 stone each, but this is a massive waste of time in my opinion. Instead, you should be buying them from the Desert Trader on Sundays in exchange for jades. Now, you can find jades in the mines starting at level 40, but that's not really what we're looking for in terms of efficiency. The best way you can get your hands on a lot of jades is to duplicate them in a crystallarium farm. Once you put a jade in a crystallarium, it takes around 2 days to duplicate, which means you can get 3 duplicates a week before selling to the Desert Trader on Sunday. So the more crystallariums you have, the better. Bombs and explosive ammo are your second best friend. You can craft your own bombs if you're high enough level, or you can buy bombs from the Dwarven Trader as well as ammo from the Adventurers Guild. Bombs can save you time and energy by getting rid of large amounts of rocks and nodes at once, which means you can collect more ore as well as find more staircases and shafts. Which brings us to our next topic, luck. You'll want to make sure that you get as many luck buffs as you possibly can through daily luck, food buffs, lucky rings, and other buffs. The maximum amount of luck that you can have in one day would be if you were to go on a good luck day with magic rock candies, which give a +5 to luck, ginger ale for another +1, 2 lucky rings, which give a +1 each, and if you have farming mastery and have made a statue of blessings, you also have a chance to get a +1 luck blessing every day. Speaking of statues, if you've achieved mining mastery, you can craft the statue of the Dwarf King, which lets you choose from 2 mining-related buffs a day, which can be anything from finding extra ore or ladders to bombs doing no damage to you at all. Once you unlock the Volcano Forge on Ginger Island, you can unlock an endless list of ring combinations that you can wear. Everyone has their own preference, but if you're doing Skull Cavern runs, I highly recommend combining whatever your 2 preferred rings are with lucky rings as soon as you can to maximize your luck when you go do your runs. Slime rings, iridium bands, and burglar rings are all good choices to combine with lucky rings for maximum effect. There are also a handful of books that you can find/buy that will make your cavern dives run a lot smoother. Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Thick gives you a permanent +1 to your defense, and it can be found either digging up artifacts or appear at the bookseller starting in year 3. The Dwarvish Safety Manual reduces the damage that bombs do to you by 25%, and it can be bought from the Dwarf Trader. This one is useful if you're prone to blowing yourself up like I am. The Monster Compendium increases monsters' chances to drop loot, which is obviously found by killing monsters. And lastly, the Way of the Wind books can be super useful because they make you go a little bit faster, but that can mean a lot when you're doing a Skull Cavern run. If you have achieved combat mastery, you can find and use different types of trinkets, some of which can give you the upper hand in combat situations. Although ideally, if you're trying to maximize your time in the Skull Cavern, you shouldn't be getting into too many fights. If you do happen to get into a fight, there are some trinkets that are better than others, such as the Magic Quiver, which shoots an arrow at enemies and it does a little bit of damage and some knockback, the Ice Rod, which is amazing for freezing enemies in their path and keeping them off of you while you're trying to get down the cavern, and the Frog Egg, which, if you don't care about loot drops, it's pretty good because the frog straight up just eats the enemies, and lastly, the Fairy Box, which allows you to heal in combat situations. Last but not least, if you're like me and you have terrible inventory management, Junimo Chests can be super useful. You can purchase these for key gems once you unlock Key's room on Ginger Island, and they connect to each other, which means that you can store all of your important things in here and then place the other one outside the entrance to the Skull Cavern for easy access in case you forget anything. I put all of these things into practice and this is what happened. I woke up and checked my luck first thing in the morning. I got good luck, which means that it's Skull Cavern time. I applied my daily buff from my statues, and luckily, no pun intended, I got a +1 luck from the Statue of Blessings. I decided to go with extra ore from the Dwarven Statue to see if I could achieve over 1,000 ore in one run, and I was off to the desert. You can see at the bottom of the screen that I have a substantial amount of bombs and explosive ammo, as well as a lot of food and of course my luck buffs such as magic rock candy and ginger ale. I also have 200 staircases with me. I would usually go with more, but I wanted to see how far I could get with less than what I usually go with. I'm probably going to skip the first few 100 floors here because it's basically just going to be me spamming and wasting a lot of staircases. I got to floor 100 at just past 8 AM and I got a white turban for my troubles. But here's where the fun starts. So the further down that I went, the more iridium nodes that I was finding, and of course the more prismatic shards. I started finding a bunch of treasure chest rooms as well that had trinkets and other cool stuff on them, as well as reaching floor 200 at around half 2, which isn't too bad because I'm not using pause buffering, which is a technique that people use to get basically more time out of the day. I'm really bad at it, which is why I'm not using it, not because I have any problems with it. Play however you want. I just suck. At this stage, I was super happy with how the run was going, but then I managed to find the thing that everybody wants to find in a Skull Cavern run. An auto petter, finally. I had never found one before, and I was so incredibly happy. I continued the run, not expecting it to get much better from there, but I ended up finding a bunch more prismatic shards, as well as reaching floor 300 at 10:50 PM. I had almost no staircases left at this stage, and I was basically only using them to get myself out of sticky situations. But alas, I finally passed out at 2 AM on floor 326, right in front of another staircase. I hadn't been checking my backpack during the run at all, so I was super excited to see what I had managed to make it out with, and I was shocked. After following every single piece of advice that I've given in this video, I managed to make it out with over 1,100 iridium ore, 18 prismatic shards, an auto petter, a bunch of auto grabbers, a bunch of other ores. This was honestly one of the best runs that I have ever had in the Skull Cavern. I would love to know what you guys think in the comments below, and also if you would like to see the full run, the full unedited run where I got this insane amount of loot, definitely let me know because I can post it. And if it was helpful at all, please consider liking and subscribing. This is my first ever long form video on YouTube. I've usually done shorts, so I'm really excited to share this with you guys, and I can't wait to do more in the future. See you next time!